Bonjour et bienvenue à le Lawnmower Homme. le Homme Lawnmower. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm at 50 minutes in, 50, 48, 51. And they're just starting to talk about psychic powers and if they exist. And there's interesting imagery that's being used with sacred geometry, with the treatments, and the flashing and stuff like that. And then I think about how um, networks of people used to distribute information. And obviously, this has to do something with propaganda and psychological warfare. As the tradition with the CIA and Hollywood has been around, ever since the studio model. It's they're inextricably linked because we want to spread a message of North American culture to the rest of the world, and quite frankly, we should, because I'm North American for life, quote unquote. Please don't exile me, thankfully, or thank you very much. I'd much rather stay within the Five Eyes community. Just saying. That we have it really good. And this pursuit, the main character is playing God. They're trying to create this the chimp at the beginning. I love that bit. It's violent, but it goes to show that a lot of people are not as smart as a chimp, and that's the truth, because of the de-evolution that happens because of the ease of access and the intuitive inputs. This is what you look like when you're at the phone. You imagine being on the other end of this camera. Oh. Oh. That's funny. I like that. My name is Simple Jack. We've gone full retard. We really have. And I say that as a retarded person, okay? Anyways, I'll get back to this cross-examination at the end of this video. And there's, I have, this is my first exposure to the Lawnmower Man. There's a lot to be learned from it. And I'll get into, as I've in other videos talked about, ESP and the phenomenon that is correlated to autism and spirituality. The spirituality, the voice of God, the Holy Spirit. Religion has been giving this explanation for community, right? And listening to the voice of other people. This is all within the religious and oral tradition, but we're not listening, or we've lost the context, and so people start to think that it's something entirely different than what it is. Because again, science within Western tradition began not only with the Greeks and the foundation of logic and ethics, but also with St. Thomas Aquinas. And then, of course, the church, because, knowledge is divine, right? To learn and create more about create and observe and to worship the Creator is, one of the greatest pursuits that humanity has. Because, it's just sacrosanct, in my opinion. Hence the relationship between artists and the church, and creating icons and these monuments for legacy, so that we can communicate to future generations what we had to go through as a species in order to survive this hostile environment that is Earth, that is Terra, that is the great turtle. Because the harshness of reality doesn't sink in with people. It doesn't sink in because we are so desensitized to this stimulation again, that I've talked about with other videos, that has to do with the dopamine burnout, and we're reaching the limit of synaptic bandwidth, right? Because humans are not created to take this much information in, that is, and stimulation that has been, again, force fed to us, even though, because you can't escape technology. You can't escape. You can't just go into the woods anymore. You can't just isolate and expect no one to bother you. It doesn't work like that anymore. You can't put your head in the sand and stay there, because if you do, you're deaf, dumb, and blind, just like my father. You know, the world is filled with weirdos and stuff like that. Yeah, I think we're just going to file a regular report about this, and it's an accident. Okay, so obviously this is about Lawnmower Man. Thank you, Creature Feature, for putting that online and on YouTube. But that's pretty amazing. You know, I'm not exactly a fan of Creature Feature, but that doesn't mean other people don't enjoy it. You know, they got a huge following. Just the I don't know. It doesn't quite push all or tick all my boxes, so to speak. But don't stop making videos or doing what you do, because you know, the world is better with you than it is without you. Okay, so let's look at the synopsis of Lawnmower Man. And there's a second one. I didn't know that either. You know, there's actually a lawnmowerman.ca. Yeah, they specialize in landscaping, obviously. Lawn cutting services in Ottawa. in Nepean. Yeah, Nepean. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. We should they should have Big Red. Okay. So we're gonna go by the not the Wikipedia. We'll go by the Rotten Tomatoes synopsis here. A critic consensus: The Lawnmower Man suffers from a predictable, melodramatic script, and its once groundbreaking visual effects look dated today. You can go fucking eat your own hat, as far as I'm concerned. The movie. It has a very low rating, right? 31% audience score, 38% tomato meter. But you know, sometimes things get rated down and made to look like a B movie because of esoteric knowledge, and because of, frankly, the usage of MK Ultra techniques. You know, especially certain flashing and wavelengths that has an effect on your perception. And Lawnmower Man, so this came out with around the same time as Nintendo VR. Virtual Boy, that's what it is. Yeah, Virtual Boy. Let's see. It was developed and released in 1995, and Lawnmower Man was released 3 years earlier. So there was obviously some influence here on the conception and then the production of the Virtual Boy. You know, because we don't exist in a vacuum, right? If I'm going to do things for Art Talk, I'm going to talk about you know, important Canadian figures within the creative world, or within the art world in general. And I would love to, I'd love to continue explaining what influenced those important people, those pivotal people, to create what they did and have such influence on the culture at large. Because this is how the propaganda works. The weaponized artwork, right? Weaponized artwork is immediately communicable as to what the idea and what message is behind it. It's just instantaneously understandable. That is the very best propaganda. I mean, icons. So there's some the good quotes in this. Like, it's always the same thing with you people. War. You always want to create. They're always looking. There's certain people that don't want to stick their necks out. They're cowards, quite frankly. They can't deal with conflict, and they'd rather intimidate and barge their way through everything under the threat of death. But those people are not very smart. Okay, they're not. They're not very smart. If they were smart, they wouldn't use force. Because as I said in the history of propaganda and other videos and shorts, some shorts, right? Weak people manipulate, strong people negotiate. And you don't negotiate with emotional terrorists, and you don't negotiate with psychopaths. You don't negotiate with them, ever. Don't do it. Right, the simplest solution in that case is a one of two probabilities, imprison them or enslave them, because if they don't want to stop, then they have to be placed into a position of punishment, corporal punishment, frankly. So that's why we have the penal system, right? It is because just some people won't stop committing violent acts because they're at the same level of intelligence as say a capuchin monkey, right? What's it? Capuchin. There we go. Yeah, Capuchin, which is the monkey from Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. So that really says a lot when a monkey, okay, is at a higher intelligence overall through demonstration of behavior than some people in very high positions of power within the world and society. Now, again, I was just saying this in the last clip that before I started this part of it, at least, that shit doesn't matter. Anyways, I'll move on to the themes of the paranormal, transmutation, esoteric knowledge of Judaism, and say like the Dr. Sleep emotion, energy vampires, trying to pursue demigod status with this utopia, right? And every single time that someone comes out and says, "Oh, we're going to do this for the people, or we're going to do this for the greater good," the greater good must happen. What's the greater good, right? The greater good is only good and righteous for one specific group of people, and not for the rest of us, the rest of everyone else. Like I don't know what group this is. It doesn't matter to me. But the dynamics of society, of hierarchy in society, it just don't go away. Inside the virtual world, and this thing, which we're going to leave the world a better place than the way that we found it. But what is better, right? What is better? Frankly, harmony with nature. That's one of the greatest things that we could have. The whole Garden of Eden scenario, in which we don't need to work. but people want to work because they've been programmed to. And so you break free of the matrix, and all of a sudden, everyone thinks you're a crazy person. Who would have thought? Oh, these are our first signs of psychosis. Oh, I don't like how this white man is smarter than me. I'll tell you, one of the smartest things I ever did was maintain my Quebecois heritage with my grandmother and speaking the language. And the language of this film is Jewish, frankly. It's Hebrew. And the wheel of time, the flat circle thing, and then again, transmutation and ascending. Right? And this is where cults start. This is how cults start. Say, like, what's it, the Heaven's Gate cult. I mentioned this. And this is why I call out transgenderism and the rainbow identifying people, the LGBTQs, and how it's a suicide cult, right? And there's this idea that, okay, we're going to use the example of Deadpool. There's this belief that you can turn people into superhumans, right? Either, and you give them psychic powers or whatever else, because we nuked the planet like 2,000 years ago. Anyway, as I'm going about this, I'm just processing this. I'm processing this movie right in front of you. I'm thinking about this, right? And there's imagery of the Demogorgon, which is the Jewish devil, the symbology there, right? And the Jewish devil is underground within Stranger Things, and you have to go into these tunnels in order, and then you this whole thing. It's a thing. It's a real thing. Give me a second. Hello. Okay, and as I was saying before, there's been signals put out there within the media for coordinated efforts over the years, so that the agents of these organizations, right, these collections of people, can work together as a coordinated, as a coordinated thing. So like. If I'm going to get conspiratorial here for a second, Oppenheimer is a signal to nuke a certain country or whatever, or not, just, whatever. Everyone's in on this, right? Whomever's in on the message, right? There's a secondary underlying ulterior motive to creating the piece of art. And this is why it becomes negative propaganda versus positive propaganda, which I try to create myself, to inspire and to, get people to give me respect, quite frankly. Because if you don't respect this kind of talent, right? If you don't respect this kind of dedication and this kind of honor, then God have mercy on your soul. Because I won't save you, and no one else should either. Vive le Canada. What's good for Quebec is good for Canada, but I'm not a separatist. Okay, I'm not a separatist. Because there was a mass exodus of Anglophones from Quebec in mass from English Montreal. So I'm going to relate this this push and pull, this hostile nature, quite frankly, that has become the modus operandi. You know, and just, you know, oh, we're not giving up. This is God's will. This is God's will. This is God's plan to put these people and to put these people back where they belong. You know, because they're diseased, and it's just this mode of thought, right? Oh, you're having a psychotic break. You killed 2 people. You know, I'm just quoting from the movie here. Obviously, you know, I'm not ever going to admit to anything, frankly. So, energy beings, spontaneous combustion, the paranormal, and then drugs, nootropics, which people didn't really know about or understand in the early 90s, but they're enhancing. They enhance brain function or motor function or whatever else. It's supposed to make you smarter, right? And then so that's like the pill from what's it? The film that Matthew McConaughey was in. I don't remember the name. Limitless. That's it. Yeah, Limitless. It was McConaughey? Bradley Cooper. Sorry, Brad. And you know, again, there's this idea that's demonstrated by the Lawnmower Man. No, you want to be led. You need to be led. You have 2 choices. Take the silver or take the lead. Because, you know, there's just some people out there that don't know when to stop fucking with a good thing. Because they want entertainment, they want chaos, and they think it's funny. They think it's hilarious to watch other people fight each other over nothing. It's not funny anymore. And we keep repeating the same cycle over and over again because the truth is out there, right? It's right in front of us most of the time. But the means of enslavement is by consent, right? The devil works through consent. If I get you to agree to doing this, then I'll take advantage of that. I got him. I got him in this contract. Yes. He's going to make me lots of money, and I'm not going to have to do shit. I'm not going to have to lift a fucking finger. All I got to do is show up, sign on the dotted line, and then someone else will put their life at risk. Someone else will expose themselves to carcinogens and to a high-stress environment, hypertension, confined spaces, asphyxiation, heavy metals. I'm not fucking around here, okay? Because, you know, these ideas of trying to create Manchurian candidates and if not super soldiers, it just doesn't go away. I don't want to put my life on the line. I'm a coward. I'm a coward. Not me specifically, but figuratively speaking. I'm a coward. I can't face conflict. I don't want to do it. I don't want to face my mortality. I'm telling you, all right? This knife can kill someone within 30 seconds. They'll be dead. I could stab someone in the neck, leave them bleeding there, and by the time that I go out the door, they'll be dead. And there's nothing that you could do about it. There's nothing you could do about it. Not even 15 minutes, the 10 minutes, the person would bleed out and there wouldn't be enough blood at the hospital to put them back together again. Like when we understand the sanctity of life, then you understand how fragile people really are and how we are. Because we're not as smart as we think we are. We're not. You know, all of this technology, these things that are supposed to make us smarter, right? As has been demonstrated here, well, I'll pull up an article, a decrease in intelligence. Since 2000. American IQs rose 30 points in the last century. So this was published on March 29th of last year. And this is from The Hill. Hi. Okay, I'm going to save this. History, Anthro, and Linguistics. I have so many bookmarks. It would scare the shit. It would scare the shit out of people, and I gotta go. I have to use the search function in my bookmarks, right? Because we don't need these social media websites. We don't need YouTube. We never did. We don't need Facebook. We never did. We don't need X. We don't need Threads. We had message boards, right? And we had chat rooms. We had IRC, which is Internet Relay Chat, which is the basis of Discord, right? And the human connection. That's one of the fallacies, or one of the things that he was trying to achieve, the scientist, Pierce Brosnan's character, right? But we don't need it. We have the human network, right? And then like the mind reading, telekinesis, all that stuff. That's magic, right? That's that people you know, that especially when it comes, as most well known is, of course, Jewish Kabbalah and the mysticism. And I hope Robbie. Robbie Sefer. I hope you. I call him Robbie because he has robotic mannerisms. He's very reserved, you know. And he likes to play ukulele, so we can relate. It doesn't take that much to relate to other people. There's some things in life that are so precious, you know, and so like getting behind the meaning, which is, you know, the man versus God, which is or man trying to become God. So Deus ex machina, God is in the machine. Transgenderism, transhumanism, trying to ascend, trying to integrate all of God's creation into one being, a supreme entity, or a superhero, right? Say like a time-traveling cyborg cop. Israel. I like Cable. I really do as a character. I love Cable. Again, but the Deadpool, I was explaining the Deadpool thing, again, going in circles here, is that there's been this attempt to try and get us to ascend vis-a-vis stressing out. Because, again, the scientific community, there's some scientists out there who are trying to get us ready for space. But it's not working, right? The vast majority of people will not survive zero gravity. They won't. That's why the selection process for astronauts is so stringent. Is because the studies on the twins, right? The twin astronauts, and the physiological effects that happen because of being in space and being in less than an Earth atmosphere. You know, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. Oh, we have to leave this planet. No, we don't. The only we can't run from our problems. We have to deal with them. We can't just leave stupid people behind because we can't communicate with them, or you don't know how to communicate with them. And again, that's the problem of being so high in society, right? Of ideology, and intelligence, but mostly education. Right? Educated people are not necessarily intelligent. As is the wisdom, usually the most intelligent people are dropouts. Because school is not for smart people. It's to give the vast, the average, right? The mean average. Not the lowest common denominator of people. The mean average of intelligence. To give people the intellectual capacity to survive within this society, this abstract thing, this construct, which I'll steal from my opponents here, the Marxists, that is supposed to give us true equality. But there's a real truth to be had here, and that's some people, whether we like it or not, are smarter than other people. And when we eliminate those people from the positions of power, we suffer the consequences. Lying, cheating, and stealing are all sins, no matter what the religion. And we can't just go to the confessional booth and say to the Father, oh, bless me for I have sinned, and self-flagellation, and submit to the corporal punishment, and be subjugated by the idiotic and the unwise. Right? Don't let stupid people near the controls. And you can't turn someone who's mentally handicapped into a super soldier, no matter how hard you try. Because the physiological structure of the brain cannot be changed simply with alpha or beta or gamma wavelengths. Because this was known through television and in experiments. Right, noticing this phenomenon of we go into a different relaxation state, right? The different energies, capacities of the brain, especially the electronic signals, and like the electricity, the Higgs boson, the God particle, blah, 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 blah. We're the masters. We're the masters of our lives and of this planet. We know what we're doing. We know what we're doing. It's such a shame that what other people do to scientists. Okay, so IQ scores and technology. There's an obviously between 2006 and 2018 across 3 or 4 broad domains of intelligence the study founds. Rose dramatically, a new study of human intelligence points a narrative that may surprise the general public. American IQs rose dramatically over the past century, and now they seem to be falling. right? Because we're starting to adapt. We're starting to adapt. Adaptation is evolution, but you can't stress the organism into becoming the next level of evolution. And the virtual world is a prison. It's a prison. This is why, I wanted a VR headset, actually. And I understand and know very well, because it saved my life. I know very well the potential for simulator usage and education, right? Because it saves you from physically being harmed. And again, as a tangent, I'm the one that crashed the Hornet simulator in Bagotville. You can thank me for that. But it was so outdated, and it was barely functional at that point. And I knew this, again, as a resident shit disturber. I didn't do this on purpose. I wanted to do a loop, a supersonic loop, and I didn't remember to have a hard deck. I was like, oh, let's try it. Oh my gosh, that was a riot. Man, yeah, that's probably what screwed up my pilot selection process. Oh my goodness. We can't rely on this guy. The snap judgments are what destroy relationships. And snap judgments are employed by stupid people. The less intelligent you are, the more judgmental you are, right? That doesn't. I'm not saying this in the capacity of a legal scenario, in a judge and jury. But this is just how it is. The less intelligent you are, the more impulsive you are. The higher tendency you have towards psychopathy and towards homosexuality. There's a correlation between all three of those things, as I've tried to communicate in the history of propaganda. And this is nothing against those people, but it's the reality of the situation. Because if you were smart, you would get with a woman or you'd get with a man, and you'd have a kid. But some people don't like that. They want to defer responsibility, or they buy into this bullshit, this virtual projection, this transverse Mercator projection, this map and this legend that has been communicated through families for centuries as to how and what people are. And we trust these people. We trust these people close to us. But that doesn't mean that we should trust them. Because again, the gaslighting that happens between the priest and the lawnmower man is disgusting. And then the scientist character takes advantage, again, even still trying to help him to become something more, and something more instant, more gratifying. But it doesn't work like that. Life is a lot slower than what we think it is. And that's a real hard thing to deal with, especially after you spend so much time within this virtual world, within these video games, within the headsets. It's that whole, we're trying to prepare people for space. And have this holodeck, this matrix, this 3D matrix projection of an illusion that is reality, and we get so fixated on sense and sensory perception, right? Having to do with Isaac Asimov and it doesn't matter. I'm sure you get the idea here. It's amazing how poignant this movie actually is. If you're willing to take the message in, right? You can't ascend through technology. And you know, these conflicts between mortality and immortality, and then some of these people are taking way too many drugs. If we're going to apply this to a modern day scenario, a lot of these people are like, okay, so the Silicon Valley is notorious for microdosing, mushrooms, MDMA, Molly's game, right? Exactly what Molly was doing. Okay, her doctor was doping her up because she was getting too stressed out, and anxiety is a stress response, right? It means that the other person is a threat to you. You perceive them as a threat, and they are threatening to you, towards you. So that's the action. That's the response. Because we are not equipped to deal with this much stimulation. We aren't. And this is why younger people are rejecting this space, and they're becoming more conservative. They're eschewing drugs altogether, which frankly is admirable, right? They're joining churches, and they're getting away from the hustle and the bustle as best they can. But the efforts of older people that have enslaved younger people because they didn't plan for retirement, and because they thought that they could live until they were 125 years old because of the technology and the medicine. But it doesn't work like that. All of a sudden, we got doctors working on virtual patients and these mannequins instead of cadavers. And then all of a sudden, the malpractice rates go up because the doctors themselves don't even know what it is to put a scalpel to the skin anymore. And by the time that they go to actually do it, they fuck it up. Humanity is not as smart as we think it is. And you and me are not as intelligent as we think we are. Right? So let this be a missile launched at the heart of this bullshit. And you know, this is why I oppose the censorship bill, right? Because censorship is the enemy of the artist. And when we give too much power to stupid people, then we all suffer the consequences. And the consequences are civil war and exodus. So yeah, I like Lawnmower Man. I appreciate the production. I know to some people it was a neglected movie, and like I was saying with looking at, reading from Rotten Tomatoes here. But we used to be a lot more smart, or a lot more intelligent, and because we didn't have the convenience, and we can't. This idea that we can program people through the internet and through behavioral modification because of the advances in psychology and psychiatric medicine, dealing with the hormones and the endocrine system, say the neurological, the nootropics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, trying to improve the synapse responses and whatever else. We can't play God. And we can't become demigods, okay? We can only pass on our legacy after we die, right? Through the things that we leave behind, the touches that we've left in the impressions that we've left in other people's lives, and our children. When someone else gets in the way of me doing that, or you getting in the way of you doing that, that's evil. And we have to shine a light on it. We have to shine a light on it, and we have to stamp it out. And you have to fucking nip it in the bud before before the fungus or the parasite destroys the entire fruit tree. But that's also a fallacy in itself. Thanks for watching. This has been my review of Lawnmower Man. I hope you like this movie too. Because one day, memento mori, one day we all die.